Hello and welcome to Software Testing from Scratch. On behalf of Eduonics, my name is Richard Martin. This is Chapter 5, Platform Specialization. So I'm going to cover a few things. In this chapter I'm going to cover mobile, web, cloud, package implementation, telephony, and of course voice. So the first thing that we're going to do is have a look at a virtualized testing platform called Mobile Test Me. It's a fantastic website when it eventually loads. All you basically do is select the phone that you want to simulate. You then you can put your own web address in, or you can have a look at the web address of a predefined company. So let's try Starbucks. There you go. That's what Starbucks will look like. It's really good. It keeps all the ISOs up to date as well, so as soon as there's an iOS update it allows you to regress back to previous ones as well. So say Google Nexus. What does it look like on there? Completely different, quite cool. It's free. There is a paid version which downloads an application onto your desktop. You don't really need that, but it is quite good to have anyway. So to get back on topic, it covers 6 devices, but they're adding devices all the time, and they're only the smaller form factor devices. They do have plans to put on a full iPad. I'll certainly be using that as soon as they do. Now, the thing about mobile testing is that it's expensive, because in theory if you want to test a device you need to buy it. It's good to invest in an emulator. Emulator devices are very cost effective because they allow you to do a lot of testing quickly and efficiently. It'll allow you to perform the bulk of your testing in a well-instrumented test environment that's cost effective. You'll want to use your device emulator with various options, as bypassing the network, using the live network via modems, and a good scripting language. So you should look for these features during the selection process. You don't just want one that relies on your own laptop for an internet connection. When you look at a device emulator for testing, make sure that they have the instrumentation and the network options you provide with your standard mobile phone. But also ensure that the tool has the diagnostics you'll need to isolate problems and the flexibility in network stacks you'll need to test different network options as well, whether it be Bluetooth, GPS, that kind of thing. Make sure that your emulated device solution contains a high-level scripting solution to allow you to replay your test cases over and over again. Remember Selenium that we showed you before? Be good to have something very similar to that in this. Also, to take advantages of remote real devices in the cloud is a fantastic idea as well. Long gone are the days when you can only rent virtual private servers. You can now rent yourself a virtual private iPad as well. Having an account with your vendor that lets you access a remote real device is very handy. You never know what you might need to test on a remote live network, and with what device you might have to test. It could be one that you don't have. It's a great solution to have in your bag of tricks. It's not that expensive. It's definitely worth looking at. So if you have a look at iPad Peek here, so this does what Mobile Test Me doesn't do. It allows you to use a full-size iPad with the latest iOS. You can also change the orientation, which is great. There we go. That's a Sky News website. Perfect. Change orientation with it. The website already loaded. Works just the same. You can put it to an iPhone, an iPad, or even an iPhone 5, which is pretty cool as well. It's always good to automate wherever you can. The last thing you want to do is have to click on a million things just to test one script over and over again on multiple devices. Web testing. I guess this comes under compatibility testing really. There's so many different devices out there that have so many different internet browsers. It's very difficult to see which ones are the best to test. There are a lot of benchmarking stats out there with percentages of different websites, so different web browsers to use. You'll notice that things like Netscape and things are down in the single digits of percentages people using them. This website, Browser Shots, as it says here, makes screenshots of your web design in different operating systems and browsers. It's a free open source online web application providing developers a convenient way to test their website's browser compatibility in one place. So let's take a picture of a certain website. Let's see how it appears. So we can see the vast array of browsers that BrowserShot supports. I can't believe that they have this many emulated, going back so many versions as well. I mean, Chrome goes back to version 10 all the way through to version 36, which I think is pretty impressive. It covers Linux, Windows, Mac, and some BSD, but I presume that's still you have to contribute for that. You can change the screen size, 640 through to 1680 pixels. Color depth, most people don't care, but 24 bits per pixel. If you want JavaScript, which version, if you want Java enabled or disabled, and Flash as well. So it's pretty impressive. You can select them all if you want to, all the Windows, all the Mac. Let's just do them all. And you just enter the URL that you want to take a snapshot of. So if we have a look at news.sky.com, this probably won't work because it usually puts you in a queue and asks you to wait a rather long amount of time before it'll give you any kind of feedback. So let's just try it anyway. Okay, it's been sent an HTTP redirect. That would be my fault not putting it in there. Please try again. It's probably going to give us a message about it being put in a queue. Yeah, so it was submitted 0 minutes ago, expires in 14 minutes. The queue time estimated 2 minutes to 17 minutes. If we click on information here, we can see exactly which one it's doing when. I think it's a pretty good application. You can see it's just starting to do SeaMonkey 2.23 now. Personally, I'd never even heard of SeaMonkey until I saw this website, but it just makes you realise that you don't know what's out there until it hits you. Now next we have another very similar tool called Browser Stack. It rapidly tests your website for cross-browser compatibility across over 300 browsers. And the thing I like about this is that it includes mobile web browsers as well. Perfect. So if we click on the link, let's see what it does. So we do the same website, news.sky.com, with an HTTP in front this time. We can see that it does iOS and Android. iOS versions right away from version 5, 5.1, version 6, and version 7. All the different Android tablets that it does here is pretty impressive as well. So the defaults that it'll use is the Amazon Kindle Fire 2, the Samsung Galaxy S2, the Motorola Droid Razr. There is no default for Sony or Google, but the LG Nexus 4, and of course the HTC One X. Each of these browsers here, you can see the ones in blue are the ones that it will do. If there is a particular one that you want to use, all you have to do is click on it, highlight it, and it will include that web browser for you. I think it does that because the other website, BrowserShot, takes so long to load up, and you can't really unselect individual browsers very easily. Here I think it's much more scalable. So let's generate some screenshots. It's just validating the URL, and you can see now it's working through 0 of 20 done. Thumbnails of your screenshots will be generated here momentarily. So let's just wait a second and see what comes up. Okay, so as you can see here, it's not taking very long. There's 20 out of 25 browsers we selected, 13 out of 20 done. We can see how each one of the individual browsers makes the web page appear. iPhone 5 portrait, you can also change that to landscape. You can download each one of these if you want to as evidence for your tests. You can download it as an entire zip file. Again, it's a fantastic website to use. I thoroughly recommend it. And next we have cloud. Web applications use a cloud computing environment to simulate real-world user traffic. Traditional approaches to test software incur very high charges to stimulate user activity from different geographical locations. Testing firewalls and load balancers involves lots of expenditure on hardware, maintenance, software, etc. In case of applications where rate of increase in number of users is unpredictable, such as many websites, or if there's variation in deployment environments depending on the client's requirements, cloud testing is more effective. Chances are, if you need to deploy your bit of software into a particular environment, you could rent a very similar environment online beforehand just to make sure it's doing exactly what it says. Even, as I mentioned, geographical locations as well. It would be a good idea to trial your system in the country that it's going to be in. Say you live and work in the UK and your system's going to be in the United States. Pier 1 have lots and lots of racks of kit over there. It would be a fantastic test to get it in country and even do some beta testing as well with it in country. Now, the steps to cloud testing. Companies simulate real-world users by using cloud testing services that are provided by a cloud service vendor. As I mentioned, things like Pier 1, we also have something like CompuWare, HP Note, Load Impact, Sourster, and of course Keynote systems as well. Once user scenarios are developed and the test is designed, these service providers could leverage huge amounts of data to particular websites. Even if you wanted to generate traffic that originates from all around the world. Once the test is complete, the cloud service providers deliver results and analytics back to the corporate IT guys in real-time dashboards for complete analysis of how their applications and the internet will perform during peak volumes. It's a fantastic indication of, I know I keep referring to the same scenario, but a ticketing website selling concert tickets, you need to know that as soon as the world's most popular band comes to a particular area and tickets go on sale, when you get 1 million people trying to buy 10,000 tickets, you need to know the website's going to stand up. So cloud computing would be perfect for that. It's so scalable, mainly because you don't own any of the hardware. It's all down to somebody else, and as soon as you're finished, you don't have to pay for it. Now, package implementation. Purchasing a package means much less design and construction work. Since the package has already been designed and built before it goes on the shelf, and since you don't really need to test basic functionality from scratch, testing time for this will also be much shorter. In addition, you do still need to test the package with your company's data to ensure everything behaves as you expect. This includes internal IT testing by the developers, as well as rigorous user acceptance testing, and of course you'll never want to implement a package without validating yourselves that it works as intended anyway. Just because it's been vetted by the company who produced it, 9 times out of 10 it will be fine. However, check it first, because if it doesn't work, it will be your head on the block, not theirs. But finally, one thing that we should probably say when it comes to mobile testing anyway. A few years ago, a lot of people wouldn't even consider trying to get their kit working on a mobile browser. But just to give you a few stats that I found, during the earnings announced for its fiscal third quarter of 2013, Apple revealed that it had sold 31.2 million iPhones and 14.6 million iPads. So according to those figures, the company's iPhone sales were up 20% year over year, whilst its iPad sales were slightly down. So if they'd sold 31.2 million last year, I don't know how many that they're going to have sold this year. Of course, you have every other vendor as well, Samsung, BlackBerry, everybody's got a tablet these days. It's very important to make sure that you get browser testing at the top of your list. A lot of people look at stuff on the move. That's where I'd say about 75 to 80% of all user traffic comes from. There's a fantastic little application you can download and put onto your website. It tells you what browser and what device the users are using. Obviously, unless you have a very large scale system, then you probably wouldn't want to hone in on those users anyway too much and start a tailor website around them, but it's useful to look at anyway. Just do a bit of Googling around, you'll find it.